Hi, I'm Luke, and from Northumberland University, and I'm studying design for industry. The aim of the Global Studio was to provide a hub in which we could upload all of our work to, and it provided a log of our data. So each week we had content that we could use to kind of like guide us and give us direction. So we kind of got something out of the call, and for me that was kind of what it was about. It was kind of almost like a discussion point for the calls. In terms of the activities, we obviously would design students, so we would be designing and developing products, and it was all about uploading that progress. So each week you had something to show, so you could get an idea of what the client was wanting and how you might improve on what you'd already done, or tailor what you've already done to their criticism. Well, not criticism, but what their needs are from that. That's correct. So we could not only upload our identity of our group, but of ourselves, and this was quite good because we could basically describe our skills, describe our interests, but in particular the skills was good because you could get to know the strengths and the weaknesses of your team, and you could play on certain members of the team on their strengths. So you kind of basically just aided teamwork, and I think that was really good. Okay, well, we used a range of communication tools, everything from Skype to email, and it was the tools that we used were kind of dependent upon what information you wanted. So, for example, there was a point where I was using my university email account to email Nick from Intel, and that was just a bit more of a formal way of doing things, and he would send me back sort of additional points that he thought we should address. So that was one example. But for example, we used the Skype chat with some of the South Korean students, because that was all about so they needed to gain an understanding of our culture, and that was a really quick and easy method, for them if they had any questions, for us to respond and answer their questions, and kind of vice versa.
And you used Dropbox?
Yeah, I think that was more for sort of internally in our group. We could use Dropbox, so if we're working on something, we could put it in Dropbox and kind of share that file. So that was really, really good, especially if we were working at home, for example, and we didn't need to come in and sort of physically meet to transfer them files. We could just kind of put it in Dropbox, send an email or a text or something like that. It's in Dropbox. In terms of collaboration, I think it was more the way I'm thinking about the collaboration is it was almost you had a client and they were giving you feedback. So for me that was the collaborative element of it. So I'm thinking the communication bit is kind of quite heavily linked with the collaborative bit. Is that kind of what you mean?
Mm-hmm. So how did you use Flow or WordPress for that kind of work?
For me, I create almost like a process document and create a PDF of that. So then I would, for example, the Motorola, I would then upload that PDF onto WordPress, and the Korean students could see sort of my journey, and they could get an understanding of the decisions I've made and why I've made them. So I guess that was kind of the way I would collaborated or communicated my work. Okay, so the Intel, we worked with another course which was IMD, and that was although both design disciplines, it was strange because we had like a slightly different understanding of what a certain thing was. So for us, like a scenario was different to their version of a scenario, and that was difficult because we kind of could never agree. But we eventually kind of got around the issues that we hadn't really like sort of like pulled ourselves together sort of thing, and kind of got there in the end. And obviously with Motorola we didn't have that. We were more working on our by ourselves, and we were making decisions by ourselves. And I think working in a team was much better because you get lots of different advice and input that really does make a difference.
What about the tools themselves, using Plone or WordPress? What are the kind of main differences between those two tools?
I don't think there's a great difference in what they tried to achieve and what their aims were as a service or as a product. But I think in terms of their execution, they were massively different, and I think the WordPress for me was a lot better. It just kind of made more sense and was much more logical in the way you navigate through it. So just simply uploading files was so much easier. Kind of there's a lot less to do to get to the same result, if that makes sense. Definitely, yeah. I think a little bit, maybe a lot of it actually was down to the experience that we gained and the understanding of that tool. Maybe that was the difference, but I guess it's very difficult to say because, you know, if you even using WordPress, if I was to use it again, I would do things differently. Well, yeah, I think communication tools such as email, Skype, etc. you kind of use on a day-to-day basis. In terms of the Plone and the WordPress, yeah, I think it's something I'd definitely look at, depending on the project and depending on what I needed to get out of the project or whoever I was working with. It would really depend on that, but I think it's definitely opened up my eyes to sort of different ways of using those sort of communication tools. Because, for example, WordPress, I think it's for blogs, isn't it? But you kind of I never really thought about using it in terms of helping it to sort of describe or communicate my design process. So that was really good, I thought, of using that tool, but in a completely different way. Yeah, I'd say definitely, because I mean, I've had an internship, and that was I did have to collaborate with sort of external people to the company who were not based in the UK or even Europe. They were overseas, so that kind of communication is really important. I think having gained that understanding here made things so much easier in how do you get your ideas across, and how do you get people to not only understand your ideas on the other side of the world, but they're also from a different culture quite often. And it's maybe that's kind of I learned that was the challenge, and I kind of took that into the workplace. I thought that was really good, I think.